Realtree's Midwest Whitetail is brought to you by Cabela's, Easton Arrows, Frigid Forage, Fuse, Grizzly Coolers, Hoyt, Holman Tree Saws, Muddy Outdoors, Nikon, Ozonics, Redneck Blinds, Rocket Broadheads, RTP Outdoors, Trophy Rock, Spot Hog Releases, Wilderness Athlete, Viking Solutions, and Realtree.
Well, it's December 3rd today, and you haven't heard from us in quite a while, and that's because we've spent about 15 days in November down in Iowa doing some bow hunting. So what we're doing today here in Michigan is we're going and hanging some trail cameras on our food plots. So while we do that, well, we're going to show you an update from our Iowa trip, and then we'll get back to talking about our late season plans here in Michigan.
Well, it's the morning of November 9th, and we're down here in Iowa for our first hunt of our trip. We got in the stand a little late this morning, but we got hung up pretty quietly, and I no more than got halfway across into my tree stand, and from the ground I hear deer buck out in the field, and there was he was probably a shooter, coming across the CRP grass, and then he ended up going back off to our north. So they're definitely on the move this morning. It's pretty windy, and with the wind that we have, if these deer want to scent check this bedding, they should run this ridge top here that we're sitting on. So well, here it is, the morning of November 10th. It is a very chilly morning this morning, and we already had one buck come by about 15 minutes ago. We had some malfunctions with the camera arm, so we were working on getting that adjusted, and I look up, and about 15 yards away was this buck, and he kind of saw us monkeying around with that stuff, and so he turned around and walked back across the grass field and kind of went back up into the ridges. Well, it's just after 1:30, and we just got back set up in the stand. We've been hunting out here all day, but we got down for a quick lunch break, and while we were out, and while we were on the ground taking our lunch break, I went and pulled cards out of a couple of cameras that we have up in this draw. One is right below the stand, and the other is down about 100 yards or so, and both cameras had shooter bucks on it. In fact, this camera here right by the stand had quite a few different nice looking bucks on it. So a lot of daylight pictures too off the cameras, so we're hopeful that at some point today one of these mature bucks makes a daylight appearance. Well, it's day number 5 of our Iowa trip, and we're headed to a stand that we call Fire Mountain North. And we're off to a little bit of a late start this morning because it rained last night. We didn't want to get cameras getting wet coming out here, so we waited till it just turned into this light, kind of foggy drizzle, and we're going to slip in here and get all set up. I think it'll be a really good morning. My favorite time to hunt, especially during the rut, is right after a rain stops. So we're going to slip into our stand, follow the ditch up right to our stand. We won't leave any ground cover, and hopefully we'll see some bucks up and looking for does this morning. Well, it's just after 11 o'clock, and we got settled in here now that the rain stopped. While we were hanging the stands, we pulled the card. We have a trail camera right below the stand, and there was a bunch of different bucks on it. Most of the activity during the daylight was in the evening, so I think our best time is yet ahead of us. We didn't get any really big bucks on there, but we did get quite a few different bucks. So with it being the rut, anything's possible. These bucks could come from anywhere. Well, it's 12:07, and we just had 3 bucks come through. I have no idea why they came through together. We had one buck come through first, and then about 2 minutes later, 2 other bucks came through, which is kind of odd. There was no doe or anything that came through. They just all kind of came through together. They didn't do what we thought they would do. We thought they would work east to west along this draw, but what they did instead was they worked from the north heading to the south, and they followed the ditch down. And when they got halfway down the ditch, they hit where our scent is blowing down the ditch. And they got a little nervous. They didn't really get spooky. And they got nervous enough to kind of just turn around and meander off. But they didn't run off or nothing. So the direction they went to, it leads right out to the water, so they have to come back this way. And it's just a matter if they come back through our woods or if they head across this grass and go through that other side to the timber. But not bad for right on noon having 3 bucks come in. So hopefully the deer activity keeps on rolling through this afternoon. Here it is, day number 6 of our trip here in Iowa, November 13th. And we are set up on a stand we call Fire Mountain South. And it's on this ridge line in between an open CRP field and the water down in the bottom. So it's a good little funnel here for any deer, any bucks cruising checking for does. I'm on them. Well, it's about 2 o'clock now, and we moved stands about 45-50 yards from where we were this morning up to where we saw all these bucks come through. We have about 3.5 hours until dark, and hopefully these deer will keep doing what these bucks did this morning and use this trail. If so, it's about I think it's about a 15-yard shot to the trail they used this morning. So hopefully they do the same thing and we get a nice mature buck to come by. Well, it's day number 8, November 15th, and we're at a stand that we call Grasshopper. This summer, when we scouted this, we were walking through this grassy bottom here, and we were jumping deer like crazy out of here, like they're jumping out all over the place. So we know this is a good bedding area for these deer. It's very still down here in this bottom. It's super windy up on top, but this back side of this ridge and this bottom, it's pretty still. So we're hoping this morning these deer are going to try to get out of the wind, bed down here where it's nice and calm, and filter through as the morning progresses. Well, it's 9 o'clock now, and we just had a doe come running through, and she was panting heavy. You could tell she'd been chased hard. And right after the doe, a small little 4-point came in. He come running by about 10 yards and then got back on the doe's trail. And then right after that, a little, I don't know, he looked like he was a busted up 4-point or something. And he came in, same spot the other buck did. They were off the doe's trail a little bit. Well, it's been about 30 seconds since the last update, and buck number 3 just came cruising by. This time it was a little 6-point, so they're getting bigger, but all these deer have been completely out of breath, so they've been running this doe for a long time. So hopefully she's laid down a good scent trail, and we get some mature bucks to come across it. Well, it's been about 50 minutes since that doe came through, and we're up to 8 bucks. This last buck came through. He wasn't on her trail. He just came from the top of the ridge and was working his way down. But it's been an action-packed last 50 minutes or so. Day 12, November 19th. And we're back here at the stand that we hunted last night. We're only going to be out here for a couple hours this morning before we got to pack up and head home. So it's just going to be a quick hunt. But we've already saw one nice buck this morning. On the way in, it was just after legal shooting time, and a buck come across the field in front of us. That field's just back up over my shoulder here, so it's hard to say if he came from down here where we're hunting or a different woodlot, but they're definitely on the move this morning, so hopefully that's a good sign. Hopefully we can get a buck to do the same thing, only stay in the woods instead of head out to that field. This is going to wrap up our Iowa trip for the year, but for now we're going to head out of here and close out our trip.
Well, as you can see, we had a pretty fun and exciting trip. We saw quite a few deer. I think we ended up seeing like 45 or 50 different bucks throughout the trip. So we saw a lot of deer, had a great time even though we didn't harvest anything. And what we're doing today is, like I said, we're putting cameras up. And we're putting them up on our Big and Beastie food plot. And we've noticed that the food plot is getting hit pretty hard. A lot of the leaves on these Big and Beastie plants have been eaten by the deer. They haven't gotten to the bulbs yet because we haven't gotten a lot of really hard frost or snow yet, but they have started to eat the leaves. So as the season progresses, it gets colder, we get more frost and snow, they'll start hitting these bulbs more. So we're gonna have 4 cameras up here on this piece of property, on our food plot property, and we're gonna hope to try to pattern some deer, and hopefully they start moving during daylight. We're right off the gun season, so I'm guessing probably around the 6th or 7th of December, 2 or 3 more days, and we'll probably start hunting them again after they start moving during daylight a little bit more.
It's Whitetail. It's November the 13th. Afternoon hunt here in this creek bottom. Got a pretty hot doe running in here. Haven't even had a chance to do an interview yet. Borderline shooter for the rest of the time. Can't make up my mind. It seems to be kicking off. So, got a long time to sit yet. Hopefully there's a bigger one that'll come through and get on the stove. So we got our fingers crossed. We got the bait. We just need the big buck to come in. Welcome to Midwest Whitetail. First thing in the morning here, November 15th. Got a northwest wind. We're up on the north end of this property. Got some activity around us this morning, so that's a good thing. Just set this stand yesterday afternoon for this wind direction. Got a couple younger bucks here, and we had one go past us at 30 yards at first light, so hopefully we're in the right spot for a mature deer this morning. Welcome to Midwest Whitetail. It's November the 15th today. Opening day for our local Michigan guys for gun. We're sitting here in north central Kansas today, trying to get it done with a bow. Had a pretty exciting morning. Darin had, I think we see 9 bucks. Just not the shooters that we're looking for. We got a couple in here on trail camera that we're looking to shoot. Hopefully they come by tonight. Had an encounter with a pretty nice buck last night. Just probably 2.5-year-old. Nice looking 8-point. Nice, perfect in range, just like we wanted it to be. We just need the bigger size. So we're in the right spot yet tonight. We got a couple days left in here. We're pretty much set with our stands that we got picked out. We're gonna set those and just hope for the best here. So they're still cruising, looking for does, and hopefully they take the slope creek bottom and flow into our area here. So we're gonna sit back. Temperatures are up, probably about 60s today, so not excited about that, but I take what we're given. So let's see how it goes. Well, it's the morning of November 16th. Out here in Kansas yet. We're getting down to the end of our hunt here. We had a
pretty good buck northwest of us here in this green field this morning. A couple bucks and a doe, but it's just nice to get light. We had a lot of activity in here yesterday, but we'll see how it goes today. It don't look as promising today, but there's a few deer around here, so we'll see how it goes. Midwest Whitetail. It's November 17, I think, today. It's the 15th day of our trip here to Kansas. It's our last morning. We're putting it, hopefully we get some movement along this small river here, creek. We've been having some decent sightings, at least in here, so it's our last morning hunt, like I said, and real super foggy. It's real warm this morning. It's 45 degrees or warm this morning yet. Well, we'll see how it goes. We'll sit tight here and let this fog clear and see what's around us. Well, not a real productive morning. We did see 3 bucks this morning and a couple does and coyote coming through, but yeah, it's been a learning experience once again out here. All these places that we hunt are basically new permission pieces that we get every time we come out here. We knock on some doors, but this one I think we're gonna stick with for next year, hopefully. We learned a lot about it this year. So this will be our last hunt on this property. We're taking stands down. Today's our last day. We got one more stand up by the home farm if we decide to hunt tonight. That's where we'll be, but we had fun again. Logan had a couple pretty nice bucks that he chose to pass, and I had a couple also not quite as nice, and I had an opportunity at the one last week, so can't complain. We had fun. Seen a lot of bucks, so guess that's gonna be about it for Kansas for us guys for this year. So get back in Michigan and do a little hunting there yet. We got gun season coming in, or it's in, and some late season hunting up there, so that's where we'll be next. Doing a little bit more yet, so hopefully we can get one on the ground in Michigan.